Hello everyone, and welcome again to another episode of the Campus 101 exam series. Today we're going to be looking at another important part of the exam, and it's essay writing. I guarantee you an essay is going to come out in your exam. So 100% for the last 50 years of the exams, all through the SSC exams, essay writing is a sure banker. So there is no doubt about this question coming out in your exam. The question therein is, what is the essay going to be about? All right, what is the essay going to be about? Now, we do not need to know the topic because we don't cheat. We don't cheat when we do exams here. So what we need to know instead is we need to know the structure of an essay. An essay is like a living thing, all right? An essay is like a living thing. An essay has three parts. Every essay has a head, all right? Every essay must have a head. It must have a body, all right? And the essay must also have a tail. Alright, so a head, a body, and a tail. If your essay has these three parts, my dear, you will write a good essay. Alright, you will write a good essay. Now, basically there are some types of essay. An essay can be descriptive. Alright, an essay can be descriptive. In descriptive essays, what they require us to do is to describe something, all right, to describe someone or to describe a particular place, all right. So they can say, describe your school, all right, the structure of your school, describe something like that to, tell us about a particular idea. That is what a descriptive essay means. Now, essays can also be narrative, all right. They can be narrative. They can say, tell us, right, write an essay to narrate your first experience at the beach, all right, or your holiday experience, all right, or your COVID-19 lockdown experience. So that is a narrative essay. And essay can also be argumentative. When I mean argumentative or a debate, it can be write an essay to tell why it is wrong for students to cheat in the exam. All right, this can be essays. All right, if they say write an essay to tell why it is wrong, all right, or maybe there's a debate, right, be on the supporting side of so and so point, that kind of essay is already what argumentative. Now let's start with a descriptive essay. When they say you should describe something, all right, in a descriptive essay, make sure, as I told you, your essay must have a head. So when you start for that essay, you must have a title. All right, so you must have a title. So the title of your essay, for example, is a description of a festival. So for example, a cultural festival from in your state. So describe a cultural festival in your state. Then you can say, okay, the title of my essay is New Yam Festival from Ogun State, for example, or Kaduna State, or do you understand? So that will be the title of our article. The next thing in descriptive essay that I want you to be particular about is, in descriptive essay, you are colorful in your narration. You make sure you capture everything. Capture things like the weather, all right? Capture things like the seasons. All right, is it in the raining season? Is it in the dry season? Was there harmattan? Was there wind? Was it raining? Was there lightning storm? Tell us what happens around that period. The next thing you need to talk about is communicate your emotions. What were you feeling? All right, what does it feel like to be in your school? What does it feel like to be in that New Yam Festival? What did it feel like? All right, so make sure you communicate, feeling. The next thing is, make sure you describe structures. All right, so if there are buildings, if there are people, you understand? So make sure you capture all these things in your essay. The size of things, are they big? Are they very small? And then don't try to look only from your view. If there were dancers in the festival, how do you think the dancers were seeing it? How do you think the chiefs were seeing it? How do you think the village? Just make sure you capture everything in the descriptive essay. All right. So pay attention to the details. If you pay attention to the details, you will not have a problem with the length of your essay. In fact, your essay might be too long, all right? So that you will not complain that it was too long. You did not have words to say, all right? So if you pay attention to the seasons, the emotions, the buildings, the structure, the environment generally, you are going to have a lot to write in your descriptive essay. The next types of essay that are important for our exams that I want to tell you about are narrative essays. Alright, so what do I mean by narrative essays? Narrative essays, on the other hand, have to they have to deal with, telling us a story, right? Give us write an essay to narrate your first experience in a travel, or your overseas experience, or narrate your holiday experience. So even a narrative essay must have a what? It must have a title, my friends. It must have a head. Alright. The next thing is, when you come to the body of your essay, in a narrative essay, make sure you are conversing with us. There is no need to, just converse with us. Alright. So have a conversational tone. A conversational tone. What do I mean by a conversational tone? Okay, so my first experience at the beach, it was a very warm afternoon. Alright, I went along with my friends to the beach in Lagos State, and then there was sand, an endless sea of sand. There were coconut trees lining the sand. They were green and dancing in the wind. The waters and the waves were rising and falling. There was so much color, so much noise. I saw crabs. So this narrative, tell us the story, alright? Tell us the story when you are talking about narrative essay, alright? And put the details. And then the next thing about narration or narratives are, please, don't worry, even if you have not had the experience that you're asking for. The question is not about you telling us the truth, alright? It's not about the truth. It's about you creating the words. What they're interested in is not whether or not you have been to the beach. What they're interested in is whether or not you can actually tell us a story. Whether you have the grammatical wherewithal to narrate an experience for us. Alright, so that's what narrative essays are about. Make sure it has a title, a conversational tone. Tell us, be creative in your narrative essays, or if not, you'll be boring. All right. So the next types of essay that we're going to talk about today here is argumentative essays. Now, in argumentative essays, they said, oppose why, maybe police brutality should be stopped. Why police brutality should be stopped. Then you can start saying, all right, the police is supposed to protect us. The police is supposed to guide life and property. But these days they've started to do. So you can be either on the opposing side. So there are two sides to an argument, all right? The opposing side, all right, or the proposing side. Alright, the proposing side. Now, when they give you in your exams, if they say you should oppose, please follow the instruction and oppose. If they say you should propose, that means you should support the motion. Please support the motion. Alright, so the structure of an argumentative essay usually has what? Greetings. You must greet the panel of judges. Alright, the panel of judges, the timekeeper, the moderator, make sure you greet them. So you have a paragraph where you just greet them. The next thing is state your stance. Alright, what are you there to do? Are you there to oppose? Alright, so your stance. The next thing is what? You give us your points. Give us your points. Make sure you are clear, emphatic about it. Then another key that you now listening to this video must apply in your essay writing for argumentative essays is you must also give what they call a rebuttal. Alright, so you must rebut the point of your opponent. A rebuttal means you must counter, alright? Counter your counter, alright? So counter the point of your opposition. There's no opposition and it's an exam. So what points will the opponent think about? Alright? So you think about those points and then you write them down and write why those points are wrong. So the best point of your opponent, you tackle it in an argumentative essay. And so this summarize how we take essays. As a summary, once again, I told you an essay is like a living organism, alright? It must have a head, a body, and a tail. Now, before we conclude finally, what are the things you must not do? Please never use shorthands, alright? So shorthands, we never use shorthands when we're writing exams. Whatever the exams is, don't use shorthand. Don't write CU as C and U. No, don't do that. Alright. The next thing is don't use acronyms. Don't use acronyms. Make sure you give us the full meaning. At least the first time, give us the full meaning and put the acronym in brackets. Alright. The next thing is I'm going to tell you about it. So these are the things you don't do, and then don't use lingos. Don't use languages that only you and maybe your friends or your close circle understand. So use standard English. All right, simple standard English. All right, if you do this, you'll be very fine. So make sure you never use shorthand, never use acronyms, and then use standard English. The last advice I give to all my students who are writing English exams is the trio. All right, so 1, be fast, my friends, be fast. 2, be clear. You don't have, your handwriting does not need to be beautiful, but it must be clear for all of us to see. And then the last thing is what? Be simple. All right, so be simple in your approach. There's no need to use big words. You're not trying to impress anybody. You're just trying to earn your marks. All right, so be fast, be clear, and be simple, and then you are good to go. Don't forget, your essay must have a head, a body, and a tail. It can be descriptive, in which case you play on the use of words, your emotions, describing the environment, and using the details to build your description. It might be narrative, in which case you make sure you put your title, have a conversational tone, and be creative when you are to narrate an experience for us. And then when it's an argumentative essay, make sure that you state your stance. All right, if you are proposing, make sure you greet the panel of judges, state your stance for us, give us your points, and don't forget to counter the points of your opponent. And with this, your essay writing will be guaranteed. Thank you very much, Darius, and see you in the next video where we'll be discussing other important aspects of your English language.